Hello and welcome back. In this video, we're going to learn about what are logic apps. So as we've discussed a few times in the past section, logic apps is one of the most crucial components in Azure as far as integration components are concerned. And you can use logic apps even outside of integration, but it's very important and it's a center point of the integration stack offered in Azure. So let's see what are logic apps, right? So basically, logic apps are a visual workflow designer. You can design a workflow, do this, then do that, and if something else, then do this. That's a workflow, right? So logic apps is a visual designer of the workflow. You write almost no line of codes. Everything is graphical user interface based. So you drag and drop your actions. So there are triggers and then there are actions, and you can connect to different type of systems using multiple available connectors. So these are logic apps, right? Let's see a business scenario. Basically, we'll start a very basic situation, right, where you can use a logic app, and you will also start understanding why it's so easier and so efficient to use logic apps, right? So if you are a programmer, if you've done any kind of programming so far, you would immediately correlate this with what I'm saying. So while we are discussing this business scenario, I would also recommend, if you know any programming language, just try and visualize how you would achieve this in your choice of programming language, right? So let's discuss the first business case. So let's assume you're working for a brand, a company that's a big brand, and people talk about that brand, plenty of time. For example, let's say you're working for Amazon, or you're working for some big hotel, right? Or even a restaurant. So you want to know whenever someone talks about your brand on social media. Right? So there are multiple social media channels. Just for the sake of this example, let's take Twitter, right? So let's say you have an assignment where you have to build an application where anytime your brand name is discussed on Twitter, you want to notify someone within your team, let's say your customer support team, by an email. You want to notify them as an email, whenever somebody is talking about your brand, right? So how would you do this? So in a traditional programming language, you would basically sign up as a developer with Twitter and then gain access to their APIs, right? So Twitter has many public APIs available. So you can use one of those APIs, and then you have to write a series of lines of codes to call that API, at a set frequency. Let's say every 5 minutes, call Twitter and see if someone is talking about your brand. And if someone is talking about your brand, access that tweet, right? And then now you have to use one of your email service providers. Let's say you use Office 365. So again, you need an account with Office 365. You build a client to send an email, right? And then you'd fetch the tweet details from the Twitter API, and you will send an email. So this is a fairly, it's not a huge program, but still a lot of work, right? This is not something you can do in the matter of minutes. It's going to take you a few hours to achieve this. Now, once you do this, you also want to deploy this so that it can run somewhere on the server, right? So now you need to worry about the server, and you need to make sure that it has sufficient resources, it has all the licensing and everything is clarified, right? So you need to look after the infrastructure as well. Now, if you had a logic app, this is how it would look like. This is the logic app. The first shape, where it's a trigger, where it is when a new tweet appears with your brand name, right? So every few minutes, if we set a frequency of, let's say, 5 minutes, right? So every 5 minutes, it's going to check Twitter and see if someone has tweeted about your brand. And then it will also get the details of the user and the tweet itself, who has tweeted that, what exactly they have written in that tweet. And then you use the next action, which is send an email. So you just configure, what email you want to send. You configure your body right here visually. You design how you want that email to look like, right? So this is how it would look like. And then you hit save, and that's it. Your application is live, right? So literally in the matter of minutes, you can build an app that would check Twitter every 5 minutes and notify you if someone is talking about your brand. So it's fairly easy, right? Let's see if we want to enhance this, how we can enhance this. Because Azure offers so many other services along with integration services, right? You have the benefit of using some of their existing services easily integrated within Logic Apps. For example, a lot of people talk about your brand, but if someone is talking just positive things, there's nothing really you want to do about it. It's good if someone says that, oh, I had a pizza at this place and it's amazing. You should check it out. So it's a positive review about your brand. So it's okay. Let them talk. It's good. It's good publicity, right? But let's say if someone talks bad about it, I had the worst pizza of my life in this restaurant. That's when you want your customer service to come in action and talk to that user. What went wrong? What was the experience, and why they are so angry or so frustrated about your pizza, right? So you only want your customer support to know if someone is talking about negative about your food or your brand. So you only want your customer support team to take action when something is negative about you spoken about in the public or in the social media. You only want your customer support team to take action if they're talking negative about your brand, right? So how would you do this in a traditional programming language, right? So now you already built the app that would fetch the tweet details from Twitter APIs, but now you also want to use some kind of text analysis and artificial intelligence that would actually read the text, detect the sentiment behind this text, right? And then tell you whether they're talking positive or negative about your brand, right? So now, with the traditional programming language, this is much more complex. It's not something that you can do in a matter of minutes, not even a matter of hours. Now we are talking about something in a matter of days, right? But if you had to do this with Logic Apps, it would look like this, and probably in a matter of 10 or 15 minutes, it would be ready, production ready, running and working for you, right? So it's as easy as, dragging all of your action items and using proper connectors. There are hundreds of connectors available. So this is Logic App. Basically, you have a workflow designer that's visual. You can use a browser to build your workflows, and it's very easy. It's very intuitive. So I hope you understood what are Logic Apps. In the next video, we'll see why we should use Logic Apps. See you in the next one. Thank you.